G'day everyone and welcome to the Moonee Valley preview. As always, I'm joined by a willing buyer of odds, Darren Potter. G'day Potts, how are you, mate?
Mate, I am freezing Juppy, but I'm ready to go and buy some odds.
I tell you what, there's been something for everyone in the weather in the last 24 hours here in Melbourne. It was 33 about this time yesterday and humid. Since then we've had rain, it's been freezing cold, wind, and then the sun comes out for 20 minutes and then it rains again. So it's been all over the shop. It's not a whole heap of rain though, has it? There's been enough to settle the dust, but nothing it wouldn't stop him watering, I wouldn't have thought.
No, they haven't watered, and the Penno is currently 4.38, so I'd imagine there'll be water going on between now and Saturday, I would think.
Well, let's have a bit of a look at it then, Potts, because the carnival's officially over now, so we're sort of back to the little bit more mundane, but hopefully we can still knock it out of the ballpark like you did last Saturday.
It was good last week. It was good. There'll be 9 winners there at Moonee Valley on Saturday, and let's hope we can find a few of them. The most recent rail, we're back to the Rail True. So the most recent Rail True meeting was November 13, which was a Friday night meeting, and it was a typical run-on advantage track. I can't remember what the Penno was. I think it was 4.48. So we look like being in for a similar Penno there, and I think that run-on advantage situation with the Rail True, I think it's more magnified when they've used a lot of irrigation.
Yeah.
I think if the track dries out, it's not that far off fair, but because if they run into a meeting without any rain in the lead up, I think they overwater it and it compromises the inside. I think that's what happens. I mean, I'm not really sure, but something causes it, and you get this situation where the horses out wide on the track with the momentum on the side and on the turn tend to win most races, and the leaders and horses on the fence can run a lot of placings, but they find it very hard to win.
Well, so that meeting on the 13th was the Friday night before the Cox Plate, wasn't it, Potts?
No, that was October 23.
Oh, okay.
But that was another one, same pattern.
Yeah, and everyone thought that was what we expected was one of the better tracks in the spring, really, wasn't it? Hopefully it plays like that on Saturday.
Yeah, that was that October 23 track I thought was a pretty good one. So I've gone back right through all the Rail Trues in the last 12 months, look at the various Pennos. There's no real pattern to it. It sort of seems like the more dry it gets, the fairer it is, as long as they're not watering heavily. So it's sort of a bit tricky. You're never going to really know until you watch a few races, but I would think leading and winning will be a bit tricky.
Well, we kick off with a 2-year-old over 1,000. None of them have had a start. Gold Emblem $7, Liggity $7.50, Rampage $6.50. The answer, my friend, is $5.50, $10 Giro, $7.50 Key Evidence, and Vegas stripped down the bottom, $5 Potts.
What price was Ligarity?
$3.50.
$3.50. I thought it was favourite. I've had a look at all the jump outs and trials. The only two I couldn't find anything for were Magnanimously and Mona Jet, but they're both out of the market, so I'm assuming someone knows enough that them prices are near enough. I'm surprised Ligarity's favourite here. His jump outs have looked very plain to me. They've both been at home. I mean, it's two hawks, so they are usually very conservative with their triallers. But he doesn't look like one that's just, a rubber stamped dominant favourite to me. Yeah. So that's enough to encourage me to have a few bets in this race. It's hard to work out a map here. They're obviously all first starters, but I think Key Evidence and Vegas Strip are the fastest horses. Key Evidence looks like a pretty light filly to me, so I want to have a look at her in the parade. So she hasn't been let go on a 2 jump outs, or one trial, 1 jump out. I'm thinking that's because it's Robert Smurden, isn't it? I'm sure it's Robert Smurden. Key Evidence.
Key Evidence is Smurden, yeah. Big price in Vegas Strip.
Vegas Strip, yeah. And Robert Smurden's got the other one too, the answer, my friend. But I think he's not wanted her to lose too much. He's trying to keep condition on her. Key Evidence. So I think she's got ability and she's a chance. Hard to work out how good she is because she's been restrained. Vegas Strip sort of did everything right in his jump out, but it was at home and the time was pretty moderate, so I'm sort of not really in love with him. The one that looked to have heaps of ability to me was the Answer My Friend. It went around in the trial with one of Moonee's and they completely gapped the rest and they ran pretty fast time for the day. So it looks to be good odds to me in the early market. It's a fairly big horse though, so Moonee Valley might be alright. He's sort of drawn in the right spot to sort of sit either 2 or 3 off the rail, sort of midfield, be in the right place to build your momentum, so that could work out alright for him. And the other one that I'm interested in is Rampage, who's been just let run around in his ability at Flemington in 2 jump outs, but both of those jump outs to me, he looked much better than Lagarity, so I'm surprised. I think they should be upside down in the market. So he was a cheap horse though, so maybe these things can be misleading, but that's about what I think of it, Juppy.
The other thing, I think with Potts, if you are a Saturday subscriber to the Punter Show products, you now get a free entry into the $1,000 Saturday tournament. It's the Saturday Sprint, so it's on the first 4 races in Melbourne, Sydney, Adelaide, Brisbane. Right. So it's over by 3 o'clock, and you get a free ticket if you buy Potts set or buy into the PBL. So that's just an added bonus if you, and let's face it, you don't need any more added bonuses after last week, Potts, but it's another one just on top, so
yeah,
we're all being looked after.
They're doing a good job, the boys at Top Better and Punter Show. They're putting together all sorts of deals and most of the products seem to be firing pretty well, so get involved.
Race 2 is the McMahon's Dairy Handicap over 1200. Les Darcy 12, Wellside at 11, Fat Enough 440, 850 Cool Schnitzel, 360 Divine Misterati, $9 Nakoko, and Rolito is 460.
It's 3-year-old race with a mixture of horses that have come through carnival runs and horses that are sort of fairly early in their prep that have obviously been saved for these off-season type affairs. So it's one of those races again where you sort of, there's no rubber stamp here. There's not a lot between the best of them and the worst of them, but prepared to take a bit of a gamble on Cool Schnitzel. There were some convoluted form lines there at Norfolkville when he won first up, but his wins stacked up pretty well time-wise on the day with some other horses that have come to Melbourne either recently or in the past and competed. So it was her first start in the second prep, so she won and made it on debut. Come to town was obviously over the top and immediately went for a spell, come back first up in Adelaide and did a pretty good job over there, and it was an okay race, and a couple that finished behind her then ran well last week in Adelaide. So I think, Tats were betting double figures, $10 about her about an hour ago, and I think that's something in that $8 to $10 range is a pretty good price for a horse that'll get, up on speed here, races probably outside the lead, and will be one of, probably look the winner on the turn. So in terms of the run on horses, I couldn't. Probably Divine Misterati's the pick of them. His most recent run at Moonee Valley, he come from back in the field and wide in a 1,000-metre race, but that was exactly where he wanted to be on that night. That's that November 13 meeting. He was in exactly the right spot, and the leader won the race. So you have to say it's a pretty good win by the leader, but because it was 1,000 metres, the leader was probably just too sharp for him. He's probably ready for 1,200, and prior to that, both him and Fatnar went around in the same Flemington race. It was that 1,100 metre race on the bias track when it was on Cup Day when they were all getting in each other's way really. It was about who got the cleanest run. There wasn't a lot between his run and Fatnar on that day. Fatnar's, I think, still on its first prep. So I think it's probably got the most ability of these horses, but yeah, it's sort of getting deep into its prep. So I mean, anyway, they're the three horses I'm most interested in, but there is a lot of other horses here with a chance. So pretty difficult race, Juppy.
Race 3 is the wedrive.com.au Your Car Handicap over 1200. Nautical $6, Sino Eagle $5.50, Whistle Baby $8, Catch That Cat $3.40, Lytton Princess at $3.20, $11 Shadow of Your Smile. Big odds the rest.
Yeah, so it's the mares here, and I don't know if we've got a last start winner amongst them. I don't think we do. No, we don't.
Nautical? Oh no.
Some of them have won recently, but so we've got Shadow of Your Smile and Carlaback will be up front, and neither of them are all that strong at 1200. So I think the run-on horses will be sorting this out. There's no doubt that Catch That Cat's coming off the best run, and she's probably drawn the right spot in the outside gate there to sort of just sit back, you know, in the back third of the field, and then start to build a momentum around the side there and just sweep down the middle. If she's still interested in winning. So, I mean, she resumed off a very long break, and her runs have been, well, both of her two most recent runs are better than anything that in this field has done recently. So, she's just a hard horse to back at 5-2, really.
Yeah.
So it's about whether you can take that price or not. She's certainly got a good chance. Lytton Princess, they've been riding it cold, and she's had a couple of recent wins, and then she was in a Ballarat last week in the race that A Lot of Love and the Darley horse fought out, Estaminet.
Yeah.
That was 4 lengths back to the rest, and the rest was Lytton Princessa and Anaphora. She got a bit held up there, so her run was okay, and on the back up she was a clear second pick. So the rest of them are all very hard to trust. There's none of them that you could sort of back with any confidence. So you know, if I was going to bet in this race, it'd be Catch That Cat and Lytton Princessa I'd be most interested in.
And Catch That Cat's ridden by Harry Coffey from Swanell, and he says that Moonee Valley's his favourite city track.
Because it's closest home.
Yeah, so it's 4 hours and 34 minutes rather than 4 hours and 39 minutes. Unreal. He's a good lad. The Slick Picks handicap over 2500. Some of the usual suspects here, Potts. Just get the market up here. We've got.
Yes.
Where are we? Well, Tamby's 50, Renew 750, Crime Fighter 650, Imperial Ass 460, Master Zephyr 245, Sure You Can 5, Red Fella 11, $17 Spur and Gold, 61 Mulgath Chief.
Pretty steady group of horses here, Juppy. I mean, Master Zephyr's lightly raced. He's a 4-year-old. He's coming off a win at this course and distance, where he was beautifully ridden. It's just a matter of whether you're prepared to take 240 or not. What price you wrote out? 240?
245, yeah.
So I've got to say I'm not that keen to get involved. Once you get past him, you're playing on trust for one reason or another. So the two mares, Imperial Ass and Sure You Can, both come through the Lucia Valentina race. They both ran pretty well, but they're getting up to 2500 for the first time, both of them. So you don't know. Red Fella's a tough old 8 or 9-year-old stayer, and his run over the carnival was solid enough to give himself some hope here, and he's probably decent odds. You know, whether you want to be backing 9-year-olds. Renew's looking like he's out of form completely, but his best would be in this race, and Crime Fighter improved sharply last trip when he got up to this distance. So I mean, there's just a lot of queries here for me, and it's not a race that I'm particularly keen on getting involved in jumping.
I think back in the day they would have had a set of hurdles around in front of this field. I think Potts, it looks like a dry track hurdle field to me.
Yeah. The other problem I got with Master Zephyr is from the Weir stable, and they were collectively very disappointing last Saturday,
and
for whatever reason.
Unlayable.
unlayable. Most of them, yep.
Race 5 is the Strathmore Footy Club 2005 Premier's Handicap over a mile. Flying Light 480, Kraken 750, Mahalik 380, Unbreakable 650, Otherwise OK 7, Maysam 11.
Yeah, I can definitely bet in this race. So a little bit of spark's going to get out the lead, which should give Flying Light a good bunny. I mean, Flying Light doesn't have to go up on pace, but he led last start in the Sandown Guineas. I sat outside the lead actually, so I'd imagine he'll sort of go up there somewhere. There's other horses out wider that'll have to push up, I suppose. Carano, and she's got speed. Mahalik's going to be back on the inside and looking to push off and get into the clear. So I think you know, luck in running is going to play a part, but just on ability to form, Mahalik and Flying Light have got a pretty good edge on this field. So I'm going to back them both and just hope that it works out for one of them. So as I said, the trick there is on raw numbers. Mahalik's run looks better on Sandown Guineas Day. We ran a close second to Indara. Oh, nearly did the Greg Miles there, Juppy.
Yeah. I'm still
poor old Greg. I mean, I really feel for him there. That was Indara and Irada. In the same race, and it was very easy to.
But also, Potty, you can tell with some of these callers when it's starting to go, and I think with Greg, it's just like, I know they've got Brendan Delaney that they've been grooming up for a while, and he's probably not far from taking over. But I think they'll let him break all these Melbourne Cup records and do all that stuff and have them on his own, and then I think it might be nearly time for him to hop on his boat.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough job. You know, it's not, but it's just a tragedy for the industry that Mark Sheen's not. So, but the rest of them have all got their pluses and minuses. But anyway, so like I said, on face value, Mahalik's looks a better run that day. But what I can't get in my head is Don't Doubt Mama and what she did to those in Dara and Mahalik at the start prior at Flemington. Like, she just completely destroyed them. And then Don't Doubt Mama went into the Sandown Guineas, and she wasn't particularly well ridden, but she was a fairly well beaten third behind Mahuda. Yeah. That's where Flying Light's had all his form behind Mahuda, and Flying Light did all the work outside the lead there, and finished just behind Don't Doubt Mama. So I'm saying, if you say Don't Doubt Mama's Sandown run was as good as a Flemington run, if Flying Light had been in the Flemington race, he would have run second. You know what I mean? So I'm sort of thinking that drags him back up, and there shouldn't be a lot between Mahalik and Flying Light price-wise here. What were the prices you read out, Juppy? I've got a feeling that Flying Light's a longer price, and I don't know if it should be.
This tab app's an absolute disaster. Where are we? Race 5. I think the other thing with Flying Light to his pots is that he's finished 3.2, 3.3 and 3.5 lengths behind Mahuda, so he's been gradually been, like, they're incremental. Flying Light's 480, Mahalik's 380.
Yeah, I think they probably should be about the same price. So, and Flying Light, was back on the day behind Mahuda on the bias day at Flemington on Derby Day. So he probably should have finished closer there. And just trying to remember back to that Caulfield race, but got a feeling that was a hard day to make up ground as well. So I just have a feeling that Flying Light form's a little bit better than what it reads on paper, but still he's got a post to win. So anyway, I think they've got a pretty good edge on the rest of the field. I couldn't get another horse under single figures.
Yeah, and they're normally real good betting races when it's like that, aren't they? Race 6 is the Randvat Handicap over a mile. Sadaqua 10, Master Reset 7, Golden Mate 750, Blorum 650, Clubstar the favourite at 240, Bascule 950. Should Clubstar be that short?
Yeah, I think he should. This horse is absolutely flying. So he's 2 runs back have just been, like, I mean, they're provincial races, but he's really been dominant. Him and Harbour Grey killed the rest first up, and then Kyneton, he was just, he looked, they weren't, he wasn't beating world beaters, but geez, he beat them pointlessly. So,
and they were reasonably strong meetings. Like that was Seymour Cup Day and Kyneton Cup Day. Like they weren't just a Tuesday meeting up there. Like they were reasonably, like some of the stronger sort of provincial feuds you'd find, weren't they? Like most of them have long tails, but
he just stands out here because a lot of these other horses are just out of form. They're just out of form. So I mean, it's hard to find a second pick. I mean, I've sort of got Master Reset their second pick, but his last two runs, his first two, his prep were excellent, and he's gone missing. So a bit, if all of a sudden the Weir runners were really well backed, you'd be a little bit worried about Ballorn. Bascule's got ability, but just is struggling for form. Yeah, so it's hard to find another horse here that has got anything obvious to offer. They've all got old form. So.
And I think the other thing is that we have to take into account now, Potts, is we're back into the regular Saturdays now. So this race 6 is actually the half prize money race.
Yeah.
So this is the 50,000 race, and like those races that, Club Star won a 40,000 benchmark last night, which essentially is the same as the midweeks. So there's not that much difference in class, probably.
I think he's beautifully drawn. Glenn Boss can just sit, sort of in an up and off position, probably 2 lengths off the leader. That's exactly where you want to be. Start to build your momentum up down the side. Chime in using the camber. It's just ideal. He looks a pretty good bet to me. The price is not. There's not a lot of fat in the price, but it's one of those situations where you're happy to take that sort of price, I think.
And the thing is, there's plenty of fat in these markets now. I'm sure come top fluck or something like that, it'll get, you'll probably get 260, 270 probably, because they'll be wanting to bet by the time it rolls around unless there's a huge amount of money for him.
Yeah, I suppose it depends if any of these other runners are identified. You know what I mean? Like if they're all easy, he could start very short. But if there's one or two of these others that are fancied, well then they'll probably be keen to lane.
Yeah. Race 7's the City Jeep handicap over 1,000. Churchill Dancer 370, unanimously 850. Sistine Demon 750. Lon Rockstar 750. Grain 750. Straturbo 5. $12 Travinda.
Yeah, I'll go pretty quick here. You'll have sort of Straturbo and Vatican pushing up from the lower draws with It's Pale stays underneath Vatican. He'll be pushing up there as well, and then Fab Favola from the outside will speed along to the front. So I think you want one of those horses that are blending in.
Yeah, there's plenty happening.
There's a few there, a few candidates. Basically, there's not all the sprinters here. There's not a lot between them. So I'm just not quite sure where to look. So I sort of went searching for something a little bit different, and I don't know if I'm completely off the mark or not, but I will say that Sistine Demon's never, I don't know if it's ever had a 1,000-metre run. If it has, it's certainly in another lifetime. It's had 2,000-metre runs. It must be a long time ago. Yeah. But anyway, this horse is sort of, a once very promising horse that sort of lost his way a bit.
Yeah.
He showed glimpses last prep, and his jump out this time in was a bit staggering, really. It was staggeringly good.
Okay.
He sort of it was drawn the outside of this jump out. I mean, they run in a pretty straight line, so it doesn't really matter. For some reason, they snagged him back out of the picture. You couldn't even see him. Then all of a sudden he trucked into the picture like under restraint and just went straight past them all. And they were handy horses, and it was the fastest time of the day. It was eye catching. So if you can stay in contact with him here, that's the key. He's got to be in contact. If he gets at the back to last, he won't get into it. But
because there's some pretty quick horses here. Like I think Vatican holds the 550-metre record, doesn't he?
550.
The 950, 955. I mean, sorry, yeah. Like there's and Favola, I think they've both nearly broken the 955 around there.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's an interesting because you got those 4 leaders, and then you got quite a few sort of 1,000-metre back markers here.
Yeah.
So I think there's an opportunity for Sistine Demon to slot in the middle of him, but whether he's fast enough to do that, I don't really know, because you haven't seen him at this distance train.
And fit enough.
Fit enough, exactly. So I just think he's got a lot of ability on this field. So I think he's worth a spec at double figure odds. That's what I'm saying. Off that trial, it was a good trial. I think Lon Rockstar will be very strong late here. He's a chance. There's lots of other chances. Straturbo's trialled well, and he ran second or third in this race last year, so I don't really like his situation here, though. He's very likely to end up in a sort of a box seat type position, and I think they're hard positions to win from at Moonee Valley Rail True.
Yeah.
You know, the other horses get the momentum, and it's hard to kick back inside them unless everything goes right. So
yeah, you know you're a sitting shot half the time there, don't you? Like if they're coming down with a wet sail, then
yeah, often the horses in that spot go to the line with plenty left to give, but the other horses have just had momentum on them.
Yeah,
it's a powerful thing in those sort of races. So.
The one print handicap over 1500 is race 8. To be honest, 950, ample on offer 7. Sea Spray 360, Bet You She Rocks 850, Melaleuca 650, Oh So Assertive 5.
Here's another team of mares, Juppy. Have we got a last start winner this time? I don't think we have.
Ample on offer, was it?
Ample on offer, yeah. Won Adelaide last start. So that's your default last start winner. That's the best we can do. So they're a pretty even lot in the main of mares that have had their purple patch in their history and are sort of going around until they get retired to the breeding barn. So the obvious exception is Sea Spray. She's a bit of a miserable horse, though. She misses the start. She doesn't help herself with the racing manners. She's not usually the sort of horse you want to back as favourite, but I had no trouble at all marking her 7 to 4 here, Juppy.
Okay.
And I'm just going to trust Ollie to...
Yeah.
You know, it's the right sort of track for her, the blending track with the momentum.
And Ollie's flying, isn't he, Pops?
Yeah.
Like, he really is riding well at the minute.
He is. So, I prefer if she was drawn in a bit of a wider gate, but of course she's going to get it back a bit. It shouldn't really matter.
Yeah.
I'm sure Ollie will be able to negotiate something here. So, she's just got a really clear edge on this field, and I think they're only betting 370 because she's Sea Spray. She doesn't win very often. So, but she's got, all things being equal, she's got at least 2 lengths on this field. So whether she can get herself into a winning position is the only question mark. Oh So Assertive is coming off a decent Moonee Valley 1200 metre run. Stepping quickly to 1500 is a bit of a test for her, but I think she could give a bit of a side in front. But and that's about it. Right? The only other horse of any interest at all, and it's a tiny bit of interest, is Marley Magic. She's got the ability to do something here. I think she's third up on the back up, and the tab put up $51 and someone liked it, and she's into about $13 now. So if you assessed her on a best form, she'd be in this race, is what I'm trying to say. But I mean, her 2 runs this time in, she hasn't shown anything.
So what we're saying is spot someone taking between $50 and $70 on it.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Race 9. What's the last?
We got here quick, didn't we?
Well, it's because it's freezing, it's windy, and it's let's face it, it's not Ballarat Cup Day last week, is it? Like you can definitely tell.
Well, you did ask me last week when we were doing the show, Juppy, what I thought about the provincial standalone meetings. Well, that one in particular, I really liked.
Yeah. Well, yeah, of course, but we've had you've had similar success at that Bendio standalone meeting. I think it's those big tracks where they get big fields.
Yeah.
That also are reasonably genuinely run. Like, it's a bit different to that Mornington meeting because the joints are tip. But other than that, like, there's not that much different. Like, I'm sure at some stage, Racing.com Park at Pakenham will get a standalone Saturday meeting somewhere in the future. And, like, I know it's a track you like betting on pods, and I love betting there because it's a big, wide open track. Everything gets a chance. It's a real test because it's a long straight, it's slightly uphill. Like, if they're big fields on good tracks, like, we don't care about foal numbers and tax parity and all this stuff. Just give us big fields that are interesting on fair tracks that we can bet on, and the rest will take care of itself.
Yeah, no.
And let us bet.
No, I heard John Massara say, as long as the return to owners is in the right spot and increasing, everything else will be okay.
And he gets the Oh Well Done award for this week, Potts, for the favourable coverage in the press.
No, he's a genius, John. He's a genius.
Too good.
Because his two key criteria for measuring how the industry's going are the file numbers, and then to get them back up to 18,000 a year. I wonder who that might benefit. And return to owners. I wonder who that might benefit with, the higher prize money feeding into yearling prices, feeding into stallion fees. In all of that, the punters don't get a look in. So
there'll be some cracking types going around in these 5-horse fields then, won't there, Potts?
Yeah. Well, I did note, Juppy, this week that Rose Hill went within one horse of trumping Moonee Valley. 106 acceptors at Moonee Valley, 105 at Rose Hill. So depending on scratchings, there could actually be more runners at Rose Hill on Saturday than Moonee Valley. We'll have to keep a really close eye on that.
Well, the other thing is, if they weren't running Pakenham Cup Day on Sunday, that it probably would have made a difference.
Stop bringing up technicalities.
So on to the last. Nikosin 5, Mandela 9, Tudor 9, Valiant Warrior 10, Bellazron 9, Boomla 750, Kiavan 750, and Supercharged down the bottom there at 11.
Yeah, another, sort of evenish race where you could make a case for a lot of horses. So, not getting terribly excited from a betting point of view here. First horse I want to just mention is Bullpit. Bullpit, if you look through his form card on the...
Bullpit. Yeah,
Bullpit.
Okay, Bullpit.
Sorry, I've got to make sure my elocution's right. Bullpit has a form card like this. Like all of its Melbourne runs are at this level. Then it goes into state, up here. Comes back to Melbourne, goes into state. So whether it's Adelaide or Sydney, there are 3 spikes in Bullpit's form, and they're all in the state. So I wonder what occurs there. We'll never know. I wouldn't have a clue. I don't know. But all I know is its form level is different when it gets a little road trip. So I'm expecting Bullpit to come back to his normal level.
Yeah.
And because he's also in at Rose Hill.
Okay.
If I'm assessing him for this meeting, I've got him here. If I'm assessing him for Rose Hill, I've got him 3 lengths better.
So Danny O'Brien, if you're watching, put him on the truck.
You put him on the truck. And tell us how come he goes 3 lengths better in either Adelaide or Sydney? So it's not to do with the way of going, because he goes just as good in Adelaide as he does in Sydney.
I've got a theory here, boss. Small fields.
Small fields, all right.
Well, he gets small fields in Adelaide and small fields in Sydney. He gets big fields here when he runs in Melbourne.
Yeah, well, it was a very small field there he handled at Canterbury. So anyway, if he's in at Moonee Valley, I don't give him a chance. So we move past him. I'll start with Bellazron. He's a horse that's sort of been going well for a while now, but he just has struggled to find the right race. And when he's found the right race, he's had no luck at all. So I think the sort of whitish draw here, sitting midfield, building momentum at the right time, I think he's a good chance and is over the odds. So I could definitely back him. Nikosin was pretty well backed first up at Flemington on Oaks Day when the rain fell heavily in the middle of the day, and I think just ruined his chances.
Yeah.
I don't think he goes a yard on wet ground, and he was over on the inside. So just sort of ignoring his run there and looking at his SP and saying that he's a pretty good chance in this race. He goes well at Moonee Valley.
Yeah.
And Supercharged is probably one out of the market here that he resumes with plenty of momentum. He was due to resume last week at Ballarat, but the stable got the treatment regime wrong, had the scratch.
And literally all it was a clerical error, wasn't it? Like it was all above board. Like they weren't milkshaking a horse on the side of the road. It was it was
they just
23 hours instead of 25 hours before.
I think it was a number of injections. Only they one a day, and
Yeah.
So they'd done the books all correctly.
Yeah.
And they just weren't aware of the rule, but they'd done nothing. There was no substances that were an issue. It was all above board. So anyway, I just think he's out of the market and could sort of be charging late here, resuming, like I said, with plenty of momentum off. He closed off last campaign with 2 career bests, and they were really big runs, albeit at 1400. Valiant Warriors, I mean, you can just take him on that win in the middle of winter at Moonee Valley, you give him a good chance here, but again, I don't like gate 1. And he's had those, he's been pretty busy. He hasn't really had much of a spell, this horse, because he's been racing in Tasmania. I thought Colovan was, just in the right spot in a pretty weak race there on November 13 when he won at Moonee Valley, so I'm not really interested in him. Gallant Harmony, as we said last week, he ran well at 1200, but he just finds it a bit of a, he's 1100 is really the distance he's going to win at. He's not out of this race. Tudor, if the on paces are happen to be, if we're wrong about the pattern and on paces are getting an advantage, I think Tudor would sit outside Bullpit here, and that'll be a good place to be, because when Bullpit gets a stitch at the 200 metre mark, you'll get left in front. So
and getting in with 54 with the claim too, like you might just be able to kick away, and at least for Jake Bayless, that's a good spot for him to be up on the pace where he can kick away a bit.
Definitely jumping. So track pattern pending, I'd definitely be interested in Tudor. So that's probably about it. Mandela was very poor last start, but he's not out of the race either, and neither's written up. So, there's not many of them here. Even Tadai Tonde wouldn't be without a chance.
Speaking of bullpit pots, what chance in this day and age would we have of bringing back Kingswood Country?
I don't think it'd pass the PhD test.
I think they'd be able to show about like the opening theme music, and that'd be about it.
No worries. Well, everyone, if you're available on Saturday, the returns from the PBL chat room have been really good. I mean, I can't imagine our followers, if they've stuck pretty much to what's been offered in there, both in terms of mine and John's betting plans and the additional input from Dallas and some of the other boys on track. I can't imagine you've had any terrible days in the last 6 weeks. At worst, there's been a few break-even days, but there hasn't been any disasters, and there's been quite a few really big days.
The last couple of weeks have been fat.
Yeah.
And Dolce will be back this week, so he'll be back on track giving us updates, any sort of market moves. There was the boys kept us up to date with the market moves in Sydney last week, like what Kingsley and Sean and these sort of blokes were doing. We can't be far away from probably having Warren back too.
Yeah, I think Warren's back.
So then we're sort of all back into the rhythm of it now, and it's the standard sort of stuff, and this is normally where, as long as the tracks are fair, we'll just keep chipping away making money here. So make sure you jump on, grab the set. Not only that, if you the $99 to get into PBL, not only do you get the 2 sets and get in the chat room, but you'll also get your free ticket into the Saturday Sprint tournament. And I think no matter what happens, it's 600 to the winner. So if you fancy yourself in a bet of 600 to nothing, then you can't go too far wrong, Pots, and then you can probably use the 600 and you can buy yourself a couple of tickets into the $25,000 tournament.
So that's on again, the 25,000?
Yeah, I think they're a weekly thing, so...
Yeah. I might even have to buy a ticket in that this week. I've been wanting to, so...
Well, there you go. Like, if you fancy yourself, you can take hot pots. And a few of the boys have, and it's a lot of it's how you play and your strategy and all that sort of stuff. It's a completely different way of looking at it, and it is a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I'm still learning how to handle these tournaments, and I think where they pay down to has a significant impact on the strategies in it. So, like, yeah, it's not just about finding a winner, because it's best toe plus SP. It's not just about, like, with this sort of punting that we're talking about here, it's about backing the right horses at the right time in the market. There, it doesn't really matter. You just got to, you've got to have the strategy that's going to get your bank to the right place at the end of the day to get the return out of it. So, very interesting. It's interesting stuff. And
the other thing is, you don't necessarily have to pay the $110 to get into the $25,000 tournaments. There's tournaments all during the week on heaps of different things. Like, I often play the Friday night mixed tournament. If I'm just sitting there watching the basketball or something, I'll have the Trots and Dogs and the Friday night gallops on in the background, so you can muck around chipping away at them, and they're $6 pots. Yeah, no, it's good fun. Anyway, good punting everyone, and hopefully we'll find a few winners there on Saturday. So we'll be back this time next week to preview Sandown, and I've just got one quick question. Are you doing a set midweek for Sandown pots? Yeah, if there's a Sandown meeting, I'll be doing it. Yep. So there you go, there's something to look forward to on Wednesday. So Pots will be doing a couple of sets next week, and we'll be back this time next week to look at Sandown. Thanks, good luck, Pots. Catch you, mate.